and I am going to be the moderator here this morning. I appreciate the opportunity that Tim Sheehan gave me to do that. I'm a county commissioner for District 4 here in Connington County, so we're following a lot of the bills, and I know that you folks are as well. You have an interest in what's going on in Pierce, so we're glad that you're here today, and we're going to kick things off with having our District 4 and District 5 representatives, senators, introduce themselves. So we'll go right down the line, and then we'll get to questions. We do not have a format where you need to write down your question. If you have a question, just raise your hand, and we'll come around with a microphone, and you can ask your question. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Senator?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Bright early Saturday morning. I'm Glen Vilhauer. I'm the senator from District 5. I want to thank the chamber for hosting this. It's always fun to go to these things. I remember many times sitting in the audience with you folks, and a little bit different when you're out here in the middle of the ring here. This is my second year, still finishing my first term up. This is my second year in the legislature. Been an interesting year to say the least. I sit on the appropriations committee, which means we're right in the middle of all the budget discussions. Been a challenge there, and it's going to be for the rest of the way yet too. But overall, session's going about like I expected, good, bad, or otherwise. Take it for what it's worth. But glad I'm here, and it's an honor to represent you folks. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Matt Roby, District 5 representative. Also in my first term, second session. Figured out where the bathrooms were last year, and so I feel like I could do a little work this year. But it's interesting. Most of us, I guess, everybody up here is in our first term in our positions. I know Steph served a previous term in the House, and so Watertown went from having some, Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem of the Senate to some newbies. But I think we're all making impacts in our own ways. So thanks everybody for being here.
Good morning, and happy Valentine's Day. Representative Garcia, District 5. This is my first term as well. I serve on the Human and Health Services and Education, and chair of the Medicinal Marijuana. And thank you for all being here.
Good morning, and again, thank you for allowing us to be here today. It's always good to be at the Farm Show. I'm Stephanie Sauder. I'm the senator from District 4. I'm on the Senate Education and Transportation committees.
And good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Glad to see everybody made it out of bed this morning. Beautiful crowd. I'm Kent Rowe, District 4. I'm just southwest of town here, big city of Thomas.
Thank you again for hosting this, and thank you for coming. Bill and Jordan, District 4, first term as well. I'm serve on House Education and Health and Human Services.
All right, thank you all very much for the introductions there. Questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone around. I know that there's a lot of legislation. One thing that I do want to spend some time talking about a little bit this morning is House Bill 1202. Tiffany, I know you just testified on that bill here on Thursday morning. It was a really good hearing. You did a great job on that as well as Representative Roby, who I think is a prime sponsor on that. So who's the question?
Thank you, Troy, and thanks to everybody for being here and for representing us out in Pierre. I know it's amazing to me how many bills you deal with, and I can't imagine the chaos. I want to ask all of you this question, and it is, how do you determine whether something should be up to local officials or whether the state needs to step in and create uniformity? And I'll use two examples for that. One is that I know there's a debate about cell phones being banned during instructional time in our school systems. And a number of you have said, well, no, that's not really our job. It should be up to the local school board to decide that. But then on the other hand, there's a bill out there currently that dictates specific policy regarding curriculum, and that's the effort to require all schools to show video regarding neonatal development. And that's a very specific bill. The video has to be so many minutes long. It can't be produced by certain groups. It has to be produced by other groups. And essentially, it's an AI-generated video. So it's not real, it's false. And there is some, I think, good evidence that it may not be highly accurate. So that's my question to all of you is how do you decide, well, that should be the local school board's decision. And then on the other hand, this curriculum decision should be the state's decision. So how do you balance that? How do you decide? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll address that straight away. And I'm glad you brought up those two examples. That bill, the phone ban bill, was in my committee and Senate committee. I voted against that. I believe that's a local control. 95%, over 95% of our schools right now have something in their policy. It's working for them. You can't give an overall, this is exactly what we have to do in every school, because Watertown School is different than Waverly School, which is different than Hamlin School, which is different than Sioux Falls. And so our schools are doing a very good job at doing that. And so in that case, I would say it is a local control. On the other note, on the other issue that you brought up, the video, that has not been before my committee yet. I believe that is also local control. I don't know if we should dictate something like that. There is a state curriculum that does have to be put in place by the state, so all our schools can be, graded, if you want to say, against each other, so we know how each one is going under the same criteria. But the issue there, I'm not for that. But that's a very good question. How do you decide? I guess you see, it looks like if they're not handling it well at the local control over the most of the state, then I guess that's how I consider that too. Maybe it's something that we need to do.
Thank you for the question. I am against banning cell phones in schools. If you look after COVID, we exposed there was a lot of exposure throughout the country of a lot of indoctrination. And then now magically we want to ban cell phones. They're connected. Also, as far as you're referring to House Bill 1313, in that bill it does not dictate what specific video it is. And it says it can't be from a pro-abortion group, is all that says. And if you watch the video, and we watched it in committee, and I watched several different versions of the same video, of it is values we will have. It's along with the curriculum, it's just in form, so I don't think there's an issue with it. Co-sponsor voted for it.
I think there's a real desire to overstep our bounds, and we need to respect the school boards and let them run the schools. That's what they do.
Yeah, I'll take that here. Yeah, I mean it comes up a lot. I mean, it's a challenging line to draw, because we have local boards, we have city councils, we have county commissions, we have township boards, we have several layers of different layers of local government, and inevitably there's probably a fifth of the bills every year do something that perhaps takes away some local control. And so it's each issue kind of has to stand on its own merits. I mean, I think in this specific example regarding the video, I did vote for it. I mean, I think that our state resoundingly rejected Amendment G recently, and so I think that the culture of our state, the culture of life, and so I think that. I do think it's important to continue to encourage that at a state level, and the people have spoken on that issue. But several times, I mean, there's issues that they look good, but it's like, hey, this is something that the local school boards, the local county commissions, the local city councils can take care of. So there's no magic. I don't have a real clean answer on that. It really just depends on the issue.
I guess I won't add a whole lot to that. I'm a very strong proponent to let those that are closest to it and know it best make the decisions. We as the state legislature have no business overstepping our bounds and interfering in things that the school board, city council, county commissioners make the ultimate decision on. I won't address the two specific bills that you mentioned, Doug. They haven't come before me yet, so I want to keep an open mind, but less state oversight, the better, in my opinion.
So I was on, great questions. I was on the actual Human and Health Services where that video came through. Apparently 4 years ago, there was a big bill that passed that allowed some doctor to go ahead and design the video. I don't know where that went, but this video that came through with Health and Human Services, and I had said in my testimony, perhaps it should have gone through education for a curriculum look at it, because we do have a process in education on getting things into curriculums. However, the point being made was it was a science video. It was to show pretty much evolution. So whether that be the video or there be another video, that will have to be determined by the school. So that's where it ended up, that the school would have control over what they showed, but it only could be 3 minutes. On the cell phone, I think that is up to the discretion of the local schools. I think South Dakota is very unique. Not every district is the same, so I do think that that would be more of a local. I think both really are local, but just hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, I think everybody had a chance to respond, so thank you very much for that. We'll open it up for another question here. I'll get up to you here in just a moment.
As long as we're on the topic of education, I'm Steve O'Brien. I teach at Watertown High School. This is my 38th year teaching. Article 8 of our Constitution promises public education to the people of South Dakota. And as long as we're talking about the legislative role, I think we all agree the most important role you hold is funding that education and helping our state keep that promise. After the Blue Ribbon Task Force, we made some pretty serious strides forward, both in the funding formula and on the back of that half-penny sales tax. But in the last 2 years, that formula has been underfunded. We've started to reel back even what we are collecting to pay for education. And this year, according to the governor's budget, education is going to see a 0% increase. The legislature has come in as white knights before and helped us out. So my question is there change in the couch? Is there anything that you're looking at to properly fund your constitutional promise?
I'll jump into this, being on the Appropriations Committee. Mr. Ryan, I know what you're referring to as far as what the Blue Ribbon Task Force said a few years ago. I guess the argument to counter that, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with it, but it's that one legislature cannot bind future legislators. That's one argument. Secondly, is that there's some disagreement as far as what that necessarily meant. And I think the argument is that if you look back the history of the last few years, the legislature has appropriated more than that 3% on the average. Now, is that circumventing the spirit of what that provision said? I don't know. I guess I have to look at where we are on a current basis as far as the budget that we're looking at going forward. The governor laid out his proposal for a 0% increase. I think there's been a lot of discussion in both houses, as well as especially in the Appropriations Committee. We'd like to do something. Now, I think the revenue projection that came out this week, the revenue that we set now, projected for this next year, might allow us to do something. I think the governor was a little bit premature in what he said in his press conference Thursday, as far as essentially saying that 1%. I don't know where we as appropriators, where the full House and Senate will shake out on that. But I hear your concern. I think it's a matter of trying to stretch whatever dollars we do have and make the best use. That's about the best I can say at this point.
There's the governor's budget, and that's all it is. That's his guidance. There's a lot of work behind the scenes to ensure that we do reward our state employees, the school districts, and basically the big three, the CSPs. I think we're going to see something come out. It may not be, to your point, the full 3%. Everything's pretty tight, but there's a lot of conversation, at least on the House side, about fulfilling at least part of our what we've been tied to in the past. So I hope that maybe gives you a little comfort. There's a huge concern that we get some education bumps.
So I think that you raise a very valid point. There should be money. I do believe we will come up with some money. How we'll do it, I do not know. Because the tax issue, it's a big thing, the property tax. We pay about, I might be wrong, and please correct me if I am, close to 60, I would say approximately 62% of our taxes go to the education. So there has to be some money somewhere at the bottom line, but I don't know how that formula is working. It's a bad formula. The formula is bad, so we need to look at that. But we're not looking at that this year. So I do think, I'm hopeful that we will get something. We had one bill, 1217, that was going to do something, but it failed. John Hughes brought that bill, but it failed for the teachers. So people are trying, but it's a lot to move through. And I'm not saying the governor's budget at all is something that many of us agree with. So I don't know if that answers your question, sir, but hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I don't want to speak over the appropriator here, but from what I'm hearing, I think there's a really good chance we get to at least 1% for all the big three this year. I think that's a very good chance of that happening. So.
Okay, go on to the next question.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dusen. I was waiting to see you straddle the fence down there, but thank goodness there's an opening. Wendy Schultz, registered Republican. I'm looking at 6 Republicans right now, and I've been watching the votes, and I'm surprised. There's not a lot of conservative votes coming out of 6 Republicans in front of us. So my big question to all of you is, are you listening to the people, and are the people being heard?
I'll take that. Yes. I mean, I think there's this misconception amongst some that if you have an opinion and your legislator doesn't follow it, you're not listening to the people. And I think folks forget that we are representing a lot more than just one person. And so I think that all of us up here, I think yes, we're all Republicans. I think that we have a big tent party. There's 65 Republicans in the House, which means that there's inevitably going to be disagreements over the best course of action on certain bills. And I think Republicans of good faith can come down on different sides of bills based on input from your district, based on the makeup of the Republican Party in your district. We get elected as Republicans, but we don't represent the Republican Party, and here we represent our districts. And so we try to take input and listen, get input from folks and make the best vote we believe is right for our districts. And that's my thoughts on that. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. I think a lot of the root factor of that is what is the definition of conservative? Because the root word of that is conserve. And that's why when I ran my campaign, I ran as a constitutional conservative because I want to preserve the founding documents in the Constitution of South Dakota. So you have to have a baseline, and then also just remember we're a constitutional republic and a representative republic. So if we're not representing you, hold our feet to the fire. Feel free to harass me anytime you want as well, because we all make votes that people don't agree with. So thank you.
There's roughly 25,000 people in each district in the state. So, I get constantly hammered because I tend to not obey, to your point, the party line. I think that we represent, as Matt said, an entire district. We have to reflect everyone across the board. And that's a real difficult thing to do. Plus, we've got this huge amount of bills flying at us every day. So there's a lot of conversation. There's something Dylan knows more about than I do. I talk to him. Steph, Josephine, Matt, even our sage of the Senate down there on the far end. So I understand what you're saying, and if I'm not hitting all your marks every day, I have nothing against you. But I've got 24,999 other people to listen to.
There's not much more I can add to that because I agree with what's been said so far for the most part. Yeah, I wish you could see my inbox on my emails. It's not just the very conservative people, it's some people from across the spectrum who are for and against, and you weigh those when you make your decision. And yes, it's not going to please everybody, but I can't even please everybody in my household, much less in the district.
Well, thank you for another great question. Being in the second year, I've learned a lot. The first year we were in silos. We're not working together at all. The second year, you have to learn to bend, compromise, make decisions that you think are in the best interest of the people. I came into the race, and thank you all for whoever voted for me, as a conservative Republican, and I think that's a definition like Representative Jordan has said. It's a matter of terminology and what you think a conservative or a Republican is. This year, it's been a bit more challenging because now you see it. The second year, I will say, the light goes on and you really see, okay, what is happening here? For the public, I say I encourage, I don't know if anyone saw that electrician bill for a card. That was incredibly embarrassing to get up and fight for. However, I did learn from that. I learned that there are bigger problems, deeper, and we need to work together on that. So I heard from the people on that, and I think that it's you we're representing. We're stewards for the people that put us here, and I take that really strongly. And public safety, those are my two big things, I would say. So if I failed, I hope people will let me know at the voter box. That's how I mean, it takes courage to do this, but it also takes courage to take constructive criticism from those that really don't like what you're doing. So it's a hard line to toe.
Before Glenn goes, I would just say, my mom's in the audience today. Thanks for being here, Mom, and my in-laws. And I'm guessing I don't vote the way that she would like me to vote on it, let alone the remainder of our constituents. So.
And I would say the same thing about my wife Darla sitting there. She doesn't always agree with me on things as well. I'll say this, I look at our Republican state platform, and in my opinion, I check every one of those boxes. If that means I don't quite hold up the standards that you might interpret that to be, I guess so be it, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna represent people the best as I see fit. And based upon the feedback that I get, the emails I get, the contacts that are made of me, I feel like I'm doing a good job representing the people of this district and the state in general.
All right. With that being said, Matt, is there any stories you would like to share about Matt? No? Okay. That's right.
It's, she hasn't had her fill of coffee yet, so give her some time.
Okay. All right. One thing that I can say is that from a county commission standpoint, the response that we get back from our legislation is incredible. I know Senator Vilhauer was in a committee meeting last week, and he was texting me asking me if there was any issues with the 605 licensing software. So it's nice when you send them an email. I believe that if you are a representative in their district, they're getting back to you as soon as they can. And I can't imagine the amount of emails and correspondence that you folks get every day, having almost 25,000 constituents in each one of your districts. So I do have to commend you on that. So we'll hand the mic up to this lady in the back row, please.
Thank you. I'm Linda Sleck from rural Esteline. We like to hear platitudes about being Republican and being open-minded, but I'd like to remind you that when your caucus is closed, that's hard to believe. You guys meet in the public house and you close your caucus. I think it's time to be a little more transparent. Secondly, I'd like to ask you to support the Senate Bill 98, as cryptocurrency kiosks are poorly regulated.
I'll take that real quick. Close maybe somebody else. And it's something that, we have. But I understand that there's a sound, so it does make it a little bit interesting, but.
We don't take a vote in the caucus, we never do that, but we make opinions from people. So it does help facilitate and streamline what takes place on the floor. As to Senate Bill 98, I do support that.
What is Bill 7?
So, Senate Bill 98 is a bill that will essentially, so there's these cryptocurrency kiosks that are popping up around South Dakota. There's several in Watertown. And it's essentially, it's a little bit of a lengthy bill, but I guess to sum it up, it tries to put some regulations on these kiosks similar to the way ATMs are regulated, just to provide some consumer protection. Because there's a lot of stories out there about people being, scammed out of money and told to stick money in one of these cryptocurrency kiosks, and then the money disappears. And so that's a consumer protection bill related to these cryptocurrency kiosks.
That bill is going to be coming up soon on the Senate floor, and I will also be in favor of that. We need to just help our people from being frauded, so we're good.
Yeah, and I think we actually, Dylan and I were just talking, I think we passed a bill unrelated to crypto, but that also put another barrier working with the banks to avoid some kinds of fraud. Regarding the closed caucus, that's the way it's been done forever. Obviously, that's 1 hour. I'm sorry, that's 1 hour before session starts. Kind of gives us a chance to pre-discuss some things and then maybe hold our floor debates a little shorter, because a lot of problems are also resolved in caucus.
Okay, next question.
Hey, Todd Brist, Watertown. Just wanted to bring you back to 1017. I know, Bill, it's kind of been delayed. First of all, I'm grateful that the legislature is looking at that, and this deals with alternative instruction for kids who may be having challenges in schools. And I'm just kind of wondering what the status of that is behind the scenes, and especially in light of the question raised by Steve. I'm not a believer that throwing money at the problem is going to solve it. However, with the full funding not being allocated, with us loss of the revenue tax from the blue ribbon, we're not able to do some things in schools. I understand what the JDI Act did a few years ago, and I understand trying to avoid incarcerating kids. But I'm sure you have heard from many of us educators that sentencing kids back to school has been great for JDAI, and they can rave about their numbers. But sentencing those kids to attend school, as you know from the intent of this bill, is not the answer either. I know that Representative Greenfield has a proposal to move forward, but just wondering if you can kind of give us an update on what's going on with that bill. I applaud the effort of that bill originally to help us. But what is the status of that? And then I have a second part, but I lost it.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Maybe Garcia can address it as well, because I know she spoke about it during committee. But that bill got deferred for 2 weeks, and we'll be hearing it on Wednesday. It brings up a lot of, one thing you talk to every school district about, we have a behavior problem on, and this would be one way to address that. I think there are flaws in the bill, but originally I was going to support it because we need to address it somehow. There is a problem. We need to address the behavior problem so the other students can learn. But we all noticed the kind of holes in it. And I haven't reread it yet. I was going to do that later on this weekend, but we are hearing it on Wednesday. So I hope, and I do want to point out that is a unanimous vote from the education in House Education, because it's kind of contentious in there, but we all agreed that it is an issue we need to address, and we just put it to the side for the Department of Ed to work on some more, and looking forward to Wednesday to hear about it.
I had to look at that bill. We've seen so many in education. This one particular, House Bill 1017, actually, there was a lot of holes in it. We do have children or young adults that do misbehave in the classroom. That's absolutely true, and the teachers cannot control the classroom. However, this was going to put more tax burden on the family members. There was no support for the actual family of the child that possibly was disrupted in the class, so they'd have to come up with money and fund it, which they already are paying taxes. So we were not going to compensate in any way or reroute money that way. So that was a big problem. The other thing was I didn't want to see children like we've seen in upstate New York where they're put in boxes because they have ADHD in the classroom. So there are a lot of concerns about safety of the child and other issues with the child. Mental health is a huge deal in a lot of the behavior, especially post-COVID. So I had a lot of problems with the way the bill, it had a lot of holes. It wasn't ready to pass. So maybe they'll get it through, I don't know. Department of Education heard the concerns, and I think maybe, I don't know what the Wednesday looks like yet as far as what they've done to fix the issues, but children are sometimes a victim of their circumstances, and we need to take that under control, and we need to consider that as we do their education. Not every child learns the same way they learned 20 years ago, so we have to allow for that, but we can't have teachers not able to do their job or the scholars in the classroom pay the punishment for those that are disruptive. So there is a concern, but there has to be something else done in the formula and helping the parents with these children that may be, as people have said, disruptive in the classroom. So I hope that gives you some answer there.
I'm on the Senate Ed, and they'll see it first in the House since it is a House bill. I'm just looking at it right here. There's a lot of red, which means there's a lot of addition to it. The original bill had 37 words. The amended one has 2.25 pages. And so I'm glad to see that they have added more to it. I haven't read it all. I just saw it right now. So you'll have to tune in on Wednesday to committee. But I'm hoping we can do something because I agree. All these kids need help. The kids with behavioral issues, they're just not naughty. There's a reason why they're that way, but we also have to protect the rest of the kids in the classroom. So there's a lot of facets to this, and I hope we can get it sorted out.
I would just like to remind the panel, if you could speak into your mic a little bit, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay. I'll just say, I'm just going to take an opportunity on this bill. I have not looked at this bill, and I just want to take an opportunity to kind of mention something that was some advice that I got when I first came to the legislature, and that I've tried to heed in being here. And for those that reach out, if there's some delay in me getting back to you, this might be the reason why. So we see I think this year there's 600 bills, resolutions. And so the advice I was given was, don't pay attention to anything that's not something you're about to vote on, because if it's in the Senate or if it's in a committee and it hasn't come out yet, and it's not going to be, you don't know if it's going to be on the floor yet, or if it's, it might make its way through the Senate, might not. We just don't have enough brain space to process every issue at the same time. And so the advice that I got and that I heed is I focus on what's in my committee in the morning, and then I look at what's on the agenda for the afternoon, and so I just take things, one bite of the elephant at a time. So if you're lobbying on a bill that's in the Senate still, and I don't get back to you for a while, that's why.
Now, I'll just add real quick to Matt's statement. Not everybody out there is an expert on everything we do. Dylan's on Ed, I'm on Tax and Transportation. We're all on different committees. So if there's a Judiciary Committee question that I have, I go to Matt. If there's an appropriations, I go to again, the Sage of the Senate down there. And likewise, we're always trading information and we're learning from each other and we're trusting. We develop a level of trust, even though we may radically disagree on ideas. There's a level of trust because there's one thing out there. If you're untrustworthy in your actions, people walk away from you.
I just want to follow up real quickly on something that Matt just said a minute ago. First of all, I'm aware of that bill, Todd, but it's a House bill, And until it crosses over to the Senate, I gotta be honest, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. Because like Matt said, we had over 600, probably close to 650 bills, resolutions, commemorations come our way this year, which is the most since 1998. So that tells you that there is no way that we can become knowledgeable and experts in every bill. That's why it's a matter of zeroing in on those that I'm going to have a direct input on, whether it's in a committee discussion or on the Senate floor. So we'll watch for that as it comes forward.
I just want to add, I'm normally up till like midnight, 1 in the morning reading the bills for the next day. I take it day by day, so I apologize. It's the same. A lot of times people come and ask me about a bill, I'm like, which one is that? Because what's the title? Like, thank you.
I would be curious to ask the question, how many of those bills, that's a lot of bills to have to go through in session, how many of them are just clutter?
Depends on who you ask.
It depends on how you want to define clutter.
And it depends on who you ask.
They're just taking up time. They're taking up wasted time.
I will say an awful lot of them. My hope is that of that 600 plus bills, that a half to 2/3 of them end up dying or getting killed at some point along the way.
Maybe that wasn't a fair question. Everybody thinks their bill's important when it comes through, I get it.
I was gonna say, they're all good bills.
Okay. Another question.
This is Zach Thompson from Watertown, Zach Thompson, and I had a curiosity, point of clarification. I wanted to understand the science around the recent bill that was in committee for the mRNA in donations, or blood donations. I just wanted to see if you could speak to that in any way, what the science says about that.
Well, that's my bill.
Josephine.
So I'm not exactly understanding the question. It was a very contentious bill. It will get a lot of noise Tuesday on the floor, so pay attention to that. The bill that he's talking about is 1171. That was brought just on Thursday. It is allowing the people to donate blood to specify if they've had the messenger RNA vaccination or not. It gives the freedom of choice, medical freedom. So I'm not sure, could we ask what the question really is? So I'm not sure.
Can you go into the science, what your conception was? I mean, that's more
Okay.
for you, but.
Well, I don't want to do fear mongering, but the facts. You're wanting to know the facts and the basis of the bill. Okay, so we have discussed this for some time now. 2019 was when it was released, and we know that 6 years later, there've been a lot of studies and statistics that show that the actual transmission in the tissue, in the blood, and the lymph nodes is living in our body for over 706 days. And we are seeing the detriments later, which is the autoimmune issues, the cardiomyopathies, the turbo cancers. So the bill was brought so that people have a choice, pure blood. If you would like to donate blood, go donate blood. But if you have not had the vaccination, messenger RNA, which is not just COVID, that's one example of a messenger RNA, that you have the right to choose. So the science behind it, there's a plethora, there's a ton of articles. We do know that it is, once you start introducing messenger RNA, you alter your telomeres and your DNA and you end up with other issues. So it was a very hot thing. It passed 7-5.
Okay, thank you for the answer there. We do have a hard stop at 9 o'clock this morning. We want to get through as many questions as possible. So is there any other questions?
Hi, Missy Locke. I live here in Watertown, spend a great deal of time in here. I wanted to speak on Senate Bill 1265 for the avian salvage permit. I know Representative Jordan, you sponsored it. Representative Garcia, you worked on it as well. Just want to give you an opportunity to talk about your work with Madison Grimm and Wallace and why this is important to our area, and sell it to your fellow senators because it goes there next. So.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. House Bill 1265 is to make it so the game fishing parks can have a special avian salvage permit. And what it is this is due to the work of Madison Grimm out of Wallace. She, her dad has won the federal duck stamp art competition 3 times, and then she's won the junior competition 3 times as well. And from that, they started a nonprofit called Second Chance Flight, where during harvest, a lot of times combine equipment runs over nests and like duck eggs and wrecks that. And she has a charity that she applied through the federal government and got all the permits she needed to do it. They can call her and she'll come and rescue the eggs and then bring them and then band them and release them back into the wild. And I was talking with her the other day when she came to testify in 1265, and she just got the notification that a duckling she saved was in Arkansas, and they contacted her. So it's a really amazing thing. She's 19, I believe, and Second Chance Flight. Look into that. What this bill would do is in South Dakota, it is illegal for even a nonprofit to try to salvage pheasant eggs that get wrecked by farm equipment. So all this bill does is allow her to go to the Game Fish and Parks and apply for a permit for it. And all authority stays within Game Fish and Parks. On the floor, there was some discern and worry that we're just gonna have people go get the permit and just go and start messing with pheasant eggs, which ain't gonna happen. It's under the purview of Game Fish and Parks, and they will develop how the qualifications you need to get that. But yeah, it's just an amazing thing. And I just encouraged everyone to look up Second Chance Flight. There's like a 10-minute video about her. It's amazing, and I'm thankful that she was talking with me, and I'm hoping it goes over to the Senate, pass the floor. I think only 11 voted against it. And I hope it goes to the Senate and we can help out this cool charity. Again, Second Chance Flight, please check out. Thank you.
So I'm Travis Stephenson with Sauder Water, and I print off your guys' bills every day and read through them. And if you guys don't do that, it's just amazing as a public. You need to watch what they're doing. They're working really, really hard for us. And I'm actually just wanted to talk in thanks for what you guys do to help with rural waters and protecting the waters of the state. And I just really want to say thank you.
Travis, you're on my board of directors. I hope you're doing more than printing off bills.
Can I make one comment real quick? Thanks, Travis, for that. You reminded me of something else I wanted to say too. That bills have titles and then they have the words in the bill, and every bill has a hearing, and if it makes it to the floor, has a floor debate. And so I just wanted to say, if you see a bill that has a title you think sounds good, and why did my representative vote yes or no on that bill, depending on your opinion, go listen to the testimony in committee. Go listen to the floor debate. You'll hear both sides. You'll understand that, again, people of good faith can come down on different sides of these issues.
First of all, thank you for the comment. I also want to point out, and maybe you're following this, is in appropriation the other day, we heard it's called the omnibus water bill that typically sails through, and what that is, it's appropriation of dollars for any number of different water projects around the state, including this part of the state. Typically that sails through the both chambers pretty readily. There was one provision that got it held up this year in appropriations that I hope we can get worked through with maybe a slight tweak to the legislation. But again, it sounds kind of ominous or confusing, but it is a bill that does impact water in virtually every part of the state. But again, thank you for the comment.
I'm just gonna add too, Travis has 2 daughters out there that are pages right now. That's a big fun part of what we do. If you've got a high school age kid, please send an application to one of us. We'll sign it pretty much automatically, and they'll be dropped into the page program.
Go to a question up here up top.
Simeon?
Hello, so I'm Simeon Sinquist, and I had a question. I'm homeschooler, and I was wondering about what your support on that was, because there's some bills out there that are kind of detrimental to that, and I have gotten a very good education through that, and I was wondering what your support on that was, because I would like it to be preserved for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I am in support of school choice. We've had the bills in the House that you're talking about, the sponsor withdrew them. So I'll wait and see what happens in the Senate side, but I am a supporter of school choice.
Thank you for your question. I agree. I'm all for alternative education. Families can choose what would be best for their families. I know some wonderful homeschool children, students, I should say children, students, and adults who are homeschooled. Very supportive of that. I am also for public education and for education all over. We just have to look at the different facets as to how we do that. But thank you for being a homeschooler. I'm sure you're doing it right.
I'm for all education choice as well as homeschoolers. I think the big debate that you're asking about is what exactly are going to be the regulations on the homeschoolers? And that's big talk in the House as to how do we know that the education being provided is exactly or at the same level as the public school education. So I think that's where you're getting at on that question, but we hope that the bills that do come forward can address how those are being achieved. But I am for homeschooling and choice education.
I would agree with what's been said. I mean, there has been some concern raised with the school system regarding, I think they're calling it kind of homeschool by truancy or truancy by homeschool. And so, and again, the people that are doing it right, I think Senator Vilhauer probably talked about his son who's homeschooling. And so the people that are doing it right are not the issue, right? And the people that are the families that are doing it right, more power to them for homeschooling their kids. But from what I understand, the police have told me this, the school district has told me this, where there are folks that they're basically on the verge of a truancy charge, and then the school receives a homeschool slip. And so I don't know what the right solution is to not infringe on the homeschool rights that have been gained. And so there isn't any bills this year. The bills that would have addressed it were pulled, and so it might be something we address in the future. So I'm not sure what the answer is there. I mean, I think part of the solution is there's kids perhaps that are 7th, 8th grade that start to get bored with school. They're not really into the book learning, and so I think that there's room in our state. I think to find we have some amazing technical education schools in our state to find alternative pathways for these kids, so they don't fall off the map. That they find something that they can a trade that they can apply in the workforce and not fall into criminal activity and that sort of thing. So absolutely supportive of homeschool. Just a little concerned about the truancy issue and kids just falling off the map and the families that aren't actually homeschooling the kids.
I'll say this, but my views on homeschooling have changed dramatically in recent years. In years past, I was not a proponent of homeschooling. Well, about 3-4 years ago, our son, actually our daughter-in-law, took it upon herself for a number of reasons to start homeschooling their children. Now 3 of their 4 children are being homeschooled. And Ellie, our daughter-in-law, is doing a fantastic job with these kids. And so my views have definitely changed, very much a supporter, but I'm also hearing the concerns expressed to me by school administration that it's being abused out there tremendously. And if you look at the numbers of the children that are being homeschooled now compared to a few years ago, I think it's more than double. I'm not sure what the numbers are exactly, but it's gone up tremendously. So I'm not a proponent of more regulation of it. Those that are doing it right, I applaud. It is unfortunate that is being abused out there, like Matt said. So I'm not sure what the answer is there, but I am a supporter of homeschool. And again, it's a matter of those that are doing it right, let's keep their hands off what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'll just echo what everyone in here said. I've got a neighbor kid who's been homeschooled, and he's a rock star.
All right, and since we are on the topic of education, I would like to talk just briefly about House Bill 1202. I know President Sanderson is here. That is the Lake Area Tech bill. Matt, you're the prime in the House. Senator Vilhauer, you're the prime in the Senate on that. You want to just tell us a little bit about that bill, where it's at, and what it's about? It's a big deal for us here in this area.
I would just defer to Tiffany. Proudly sponsoring that bill in the House. We had a hearing on it this week. It would allocate $5.2 million of state dollars, one-time dollars, to put towards the construction of a trade center to add, and Tiffany will have to maybe correct me, but HVAC and refrigeration programs in Lake area. It's kind of phase one of a 10-year strategic plan to add programs at Lake area that are going to directly impact our workforce. What's great about Lake area, and we've just been so blessed to have Tiffany Sanderson here in town, is we're not growing for growth's sake. I mean, it's absolutely the crown jewel of Watertown. It's not growing for growth's sake. It's growing to meet the needs of our workforce, and I think it's especially in this age of AI and this uncertainty about white collar jobs and that sort of thing. I think technical careers are going to continue to be more and more of a really good option for kids, and so absolutely supportive of that project. Hopefully, we can get some dollars across the finish line.
I'll jump in because, like you said, Troy, I'm the sponsor and the prime sponsor in the Senate. It was a fun debate the other day on appropriations. We got to book in. Matt led it off and I closed it out. And in between, the conversation kind of got sideways, and I think Dr. Sanderson would definitely agree with that. We started talking about her son and his hockey career in the middle of the conversation. But anyway, great program. One of the testifiers was also Dustin Flatten here in town, president and CEO of Active Heating. Gave a good presentation. And where that bill ended up, it is a special appropriations bill. So because we have not had a chance to winnow down all the requests out there, and there are a lot of well over $100 million worth of requests. So before we have a chance to winnow those down, we deferred action on that bill. Doesn't mean it's dead by any stretch of the imagination. An awful lot of support. I know in appropriations, I think probably in both the House and Senate both. So we're hoping at the end of the day that we can support and get some money for that project. Very worthwhile.
All right, thank you very much.
So, again, I appreciate the 600 plus bills. So I'd like to ask each of you if you could pass just one bill this session. If you had one bill that you really wanted to see passed, which one is it and why?
I'll take Dylan's bill on extend the fireworks sales season.
Amen. Well, right now I'd say 1265 because I want to help Miss Madison and Grim out, and that's a great bill. So.
Whoa, that's a loaded question. I guess I'd like to say the one that I sponsored. That was for giving additional money to the extraordinary cost fund for special education. We need to take care of our kids, and especially those with those special needs in our schools that can't cover that. So I hope we can get that across the line.
Well, I'm not done yet. I have a few more coming, so I can't really answer that 100%. But the e-verifying that I just had, I think that, because that really stands, if you're a true American, you're a true citizen, I think that is important to our Constitution and to the American rights. So that one I hope does get passed through the Senate and the governor signs that one.
Well, the bill we just discussed, I of course hope gets across the finish line. But there's been a lot of discussion about property taxes. There's 26, I believe, 25, 26 bills that address property taxes in some way. Some kind of just bite around the edges a little bit to make maybe increase some programs, relief programs. Some making some disclosures a little more prevalent. But I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously hopeful. There's a few ideas that'll actually provide real relief, and there's different constituencies that support those ideas. There's been talk of a grand plan to try to bring everybody together to support something that gets everybody a little bit of what they want. We'll see if something comes together. I'm afraid if we don't, there is a petition being circulated to put a property tax bill or property tax relief measure on the ballot that I think is a bad idea. This transaction tax idea, I think it's a bad idea. And so I'm hopeful that we're able to get something across the finish line that folks can feel some relief on the property tax issue in the areas that it's really impacting folks.
I would second what Matt just said. Also going to be selfish and hoping to get 1202 across the finish line. And on a bigger basis, that's passing a balanced budget. We'll pass a balanced budget, but I want to see a balanced budget that we can agree upon, that is fair to those that have a big stake in this, including our educators, and that the governor will also support. And I don't want to put him on the spot, but you may want to also ask the same question. We have one of our other senators here, Casey Crabtree, sitting in the gallery, so you may want to ask him that same question before you leave today. Sorry, Casey.
All right, folks, we got a hard stop here at 9 o'clock. They got to get ready for the next event here, so that's about 5 minutes from now. So let's go ahead and close up the event with any final comments. Go.
The mics are down there.
Mics are down here? Okay.
No, I started this.
You
I'll start. There we go. I started, I think, in the beginning. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. It shows your interest. When kids come to visit us at the Capitol, which is probably the best part of my job, is to be able to continue educating children in any way I can. When they come, I ask them to make sure that they register to vote. A lot of them are already 18 when they come. Register to vote and then vote when that time comes, and be an informed voter. And that goes for everybody, whether you're 18 or 88 or even older, whatever. A lot of people say, I'm not political. You've got to be that much political to be an informed voter and then go to the polls and vote.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. We're all doing the best we can out there, and I think people understand that. And if we don't necessarily fit into the box that you define us by, that doesn't mean we're not pulling for you as well. So at the end of the day, we're going to get some good legislation run through, and we're probably going to see some junk. But the committees are doing a great job, and looking forward to the rest of the session. We're 2 days over halfway through, so we'll soon be done.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming, and thanks for hosting and having us here. And just thank you for being engaged. And just remember I know you pay attention because you're here, and just keep paying attention, and if need be, hold our feet to the fire. Thank you.
I concur with all the representatives and senators. I want to say thank you to all of you, especially those that support us. Also, constructive criticism is welcome. I think that is necessary. Hopefully you'll get to the voters box. This is an election year. All the seats are up. So this is the time. Your voice will be heard, but you have to really get out there and do it. And no one likes to, because they feel, I've heard a lot of people, it's just a waste of time. It's the only thing we have left, folks, your voice. That's all we have. So if we're not doing our job, then you need to let us know, because it goes both ways. So thank you very much, and appreciate all your questions today.
I don't have much original to add, and that's what's been said. But yeah, appreciate you having us out. Appreciate the folks that showed up this morning. It is, we're a citizen legislature. We're all out there doing the best we can. Most of us have commitments back home that we try to balance with what we're doing out in Pierre. And so absolutely advocate for the issues that you care about, but also give folks some grace sometimes, because, we're all just doing the best we can out in Pierre. And so, yeah, go to sdlegislature.gov, a very user-friendly site. You can listen to testimony on bills. You can listen to the floor session. Actually, you can watch them all this year. This is the first year that every committee is televised, so you can watch them all. I think my wife said she saw me picking my nose. So yes, go to sdlegislature.gov and check it out. Thanks.
I'll just say a couple things real quick. We may not, there's 105 of us out there. Obviously, we don't agree with everything that goes on. The 6 of us don't agree with everything that goes on out there. But I will say this, I honestly feel that the 105 of us all have the best interests of the state at heart. And whether we may approach it differently, but I honestly say that we all have the best interests of the state at heart. And I want to say, bring it down to a personal level. My predecessor, Lee Schoenbeck, love him or hate him, I have a lot of respect for the gentleman. I asked him, I said, Lee, how can you say and do some of the things that you say in public like you do? He said, well, if you're never afraid of losing an election, it's easy to do and say what I do. So I guess I keep that in mind too, that I'm not here to win elections. I'm here to represent the people of my district and the state as best I can. And if that means voting in a way that doesn't agree with you or appeal to you, I guess so be it. I guess you can make your decision at the next ballot box. Thank you. Thank you for the chamber, and again, tremendous honor to be here this morning.
All right, thank you all very much. Let's give a round of applause, folks. Thank you very much. It is 9 o'clock, and I would like to thank Steve Durant and Northeastern South Dakota Radio.
Northeast Radio SD.
Northeast Radio SD for being here live streaming this event today. Thank you.